Good evening, good evening. How y'all doing today? We're gonna welcome y'all to Creative Financing with JB, and I got my good host today. I know a lot of folks been waiting for this, to learn about this FHA 203K, because a lot of folks out here looking to um, get these homes, remodel them, but guess what? They get stuck. They
Mm,
need advice. They need that leadership to go forth. And today I'm gonna let my guest, Mr. Melvin Henson, he's gonna introduce himself. Years of experience, folks. So if you have the questions, drop them in the chat. We're gonna give you his number and email later, so y'all can contact him. But Mr. Melvin's been in this business for a long time. I'm not gonna tell his age, but and he has been doing it from not only the 203K stuff, but going there doing inspections, and consulting with people, giving them understanding on as far as building as well, leading you to architects and stuff. But Mr. Melvin, if you can just introduce yourself real quick and give them a little history about your knowledge in this whole business.
Thank you, Brother Bazemore. As you heard, my name's Melvin Henson. To start off with my background, I am a retired general contractor, obviously a certified rehab consultant. I am a home inspector, a lead roofing and mold inspector. And I have some other credentials in there, but my area of concentration is remodeling, building, rehab. Um, I've been in the industry. I'm in my 31st year um,
Mm,
in the industry. And not only do I do the 203K, as you've already heard, I help with new builds,
mhm.
um, total rehab, partial rehabs, things of that nature. Um, and I work with the entire team. Whether you're doing the excavating, the architectural drawings, I get you where you need to be. Excuse me. So, with that being said, there's a lot of opportunity out there. The success is in your team.
Mhm.
Okay. So, with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for Brother Base more to go from there.
And let's just talk about that 203K.
Okay.
Now, a lot of folks out here, they see it. The housing market is just so great right now, where it's like, I just get something and fix it up. I'll just
Okay.
do a 203K loan. And I always advise them that they should get somebody they can consult with on
Hmm.
doing that. So tell me, I got a buyer. They talking to me about a 203K. What's the
Okay.
first step what's the first part of the conversation we need to have with them?
Well, for me, I always try to give just a tidbit of history on the 203K so the client understand that this is really not a new product. The
Hmm.
203K came out in 1978.
Wow.
Okay. Yes. So with that being said, it was created to take some of the stock, off the shelf because FHA had a lot of stock on the shelf. So they created this product in order to take some of the stock off the shelf. The truth of the matter is, it's a great product, but it needs to be utilized to its fullest. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that is that you can buy a piece of property, distressed piece of property, and you can do a rehab on it. Okay, and you can walk away at the end of the construction with easy 30,000, 40,000, $50,000 in equity. That's the sweet part of the 203K. However, as I mentioned earlier, you have to have a good team.
Hmm.
In my opinion, if the consultant is not well rounded in construction,
Hmm.
then it's going to be a struggle because you need to know construction in order for this to go smooth.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Instructions are a big part of it, of going and do it to see it. But just to take out some of those myths out there. Oh, we just need to hire somebody that's a licensed contractor to do this job. And what's your thought on that right there?
Well, you're gonna obviously you're gonna need a licensed contractor. However, um, you need to have a seasoned consultant to help you to understand how this works in order for you to win. Because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you want to win. So
Hmm.
what does that mean? That means that if your realtor hasn't had that conversation with you about understanding the comps in the community, then the
Hmm.
consultant should have that conversation to get them
Right,
to understand that once you do the acquisition of the property and then you do the cost analysis for the rehab, that you're not going to exceed the comps in the community. So that's the conversation need to be had from the very beginning, so you don't start off underwater.
right, right, and that's
Okay.
important. Yeah.
That's very important. Yeah, yeah. So
that, that,
that conversation there needs to be had, and your consultant need to be seasoned enough to be able to, or even in my case, normally I can look at a property and I can say, well, you're going to need about 150, or you're going to need about 175. And that's only based on the experience that I've had in this industry to get for a general idea at what's it going to cost for a total rehab.
right, right, for the stuff. So they go in there and they're looking at the property. So do you recommend, they're looking at properties with realtors. They go out there, they see this one that needs some work done to it because they know they only qualify for FHA. What you say, hey, should we grab the consultant right now before we place the offer, or do they place the offer and then grab the consultant?
Well, normally I do feasibility studies also.
Mhm.
I do pre-consultation, and I do those things because it's best for you to spend 250, $500 before you spend the 300,000.
Right.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
yes. And that that knowledge right there, there's no substitute for the knowledge and the experience, to get a person who understands where you're going and how you're going to get there.
Right.
Okay. So with that being said, for some people, it's important to get the consultant, and for some people, if they have a seasoned realtor, and they've done their homework, then you can call the consultant in the middle of the mix or post, which means that after you've made your offer, you have a clear understanding as to how you're going to get to where you want to be. Um, the numbers fluctuate. It depends on your contractor. Contractors can call their own numbers. With that
Mm,
being said, you have to make sure that you pay attention, to the type of guy that you hire. Because if you hire a guy who is looking for 150 a square foot, you're
wow.
going to be challenged. You're going to be challenged, you
Mm,
know. So with that being said, it depends on the situation, whether we're doing pre or post consulting.
wow. So what is the average? You said that 150. What is normal for I'm getting doing the 203K. What kind of price point am I looking for that contractor to make it really work per square foot?
Well, you between 80 and 110. Um, my favorite saying in the home buying workshops is, good work ain't cheap and cheap work ain't good. Okay. That's my favorite quote. Uh, and that's because you're going to get what you pay for. If you get a guy and you're doing, let's say, an 80% rehab, okay, and then he say he can do a 80% rehab, say for say $50,000, and then I
Hmm.
walk in there and I look and I'm listening to him, or I'm looking at his numbers. If his numbers are making me nervous, it's a
Hmm.
good reason we need to revisit that. Because I don't like low numbers and I don't like high numbers.
Hmm.
Okay, low numbers lead me to believe that he might not be licensed, he might not have no insurance,
Hmm.
or he's not getting a lot of work. Um, high numbers, he just might don't want the job,
Hmm.
or he's too busy, and he's more expensive than he really need to be, and he's going to price you right out of your affordability.
Mm, mm.
So yeah, so those are the things that I look for. And I always try to develop a relationship with my clients,
Hmm. Hmm.
that they understand that, I can't fire a contractor, but I can put rocks in his pocket.
Yeah. You can put some rocks in his pocket.
That's right.
You said something real interesting there about making sure they're licensed. I mean,
Yes.
how did we talking to our audience? I'm brand new. How do I know where they licensed? Where am I going to look for this at? What websites are available for to me to verify that information?
Well, every municipality has a website that you can go to, like Baltimore City. You can go there, just type in permits. You could type in contractor, general MHIC license, and the site will just pop right up. Every municipality in every state have them. That will always be your best bet. And then you always want to do some research on a person. You just don't want to go on their word. Um, um, in my opinion, I don't like people to hire their family members, because
Hmm.
when you hire your family members, you're working on, borrowed time.
Hmm.
And then if something goes wrong and the lender want to sue somebody, now you have to tell moms that Uncle Joe got ready to get sued.
Mm.
So you have to think about that,
Right,
not
right.
saying that that's going to be in every situation, because it's really not. There's some people out there who have family members that do outstanding work.
Hmm.
But, I hear a lot in the home buying workshops, hey, well, Uncle Bob's been a plumber for 50 years. And my response will always be, is he licensed? Does he have insurance?
Hmm.
Because those things are important at any event that something does happen.
Right, right,
Because
right.
things can happen, and when they do, you want to make sure that all parties are covered. That's very important, that you're covered.
Right, right. And they know what's happening, and you have that relationship, like you said, with them to make sure they're in a good space. They're really moving forward to understand how this project's gonna get done. And you said something real good. Just because they've been doing it so long, that don't mean they're licensed. Which
Right.
is which is a huge mistake we make a lot of times off of referrals, or I know such and so that's he done did some work over here and he did good work, but we don't know the whole story for it. But I'm gonna go back to something you mentioned, that HMIC license. Let's elaborate a little bit on that. Can you explain to them, to our audience, what we're talking about here when we say that HMIC license?
Okay, so MHIC license is the general contractor's license. So I always tell my clients, when you hire a general contractor, you're hiring, the top guy. He's
Hmm.
the guy who you want to hold responsible. So when you have questions, don't ask the subs, ask the GC. If you
Mm,
want to change something in your plans, talk to him. Don't talk to the subs, because if the subs do something that's unacceptable, and we need to replace it, or we need to change it, somebody's got to pay for that.
mm,
And then if the sub's going to say, well, the homeowner told me that they didn't like this and they wanted me to do it this way, but the truth of the matter is the job was priced to do it a certain kind of
yeah,
way. See,
right.
so it's important, the homeowner might call on the phone, and go over to the property and call on the phone and say, hey, look, I decided that I want to do an open floor concept, but they're not paying for an open floor concept. And they tell the sub to knock down a wall, and then the house starts to collapse.
Mm,
So it's never good, to tell the subs what to do or to change anything. You want your GC, the guy that's got the MHIC license,
mhm,
okay? And the other thing is that some subs have license, and insurance, but you're not under contract with them. You're under contract with that general contractor. So
Mm.
he's your guy. He's
He's
the
your
guy that you hold responsible.
for it and stuff, and that's so important that we know who's responsible, how it's
Yes.
going, and stuff. So you know, another thought process that comes to mind when we have these 203Ks is how are these people gonna get paid? You know, do they have to finish the whole project first, or and are they gonna get draws, or how is that set up?
So what happens is that once the client or the realtor or the lender makes the call, the initial call, and says, "Hey, you look, I have a client for you. Can you make the cold call?" I'll make the cold call, talk to the client, and then what I'll do is I'll make the appointment to visit the property. It's
Hmm.
mandatory for the consultant to walk the property. What does that mean? That means that you have to physically go to the property and do a what's called a visual inspection. And you need that because how do you know what the contractor is going to do if you've never been to the property?
Mm.
Most times people call me and their first question is always, how much do you charge? And then I'll always say, I don't know, because the pricing is based on the guidelines that HUD gives us.
Right.
Okay. So with that being said, once I visit the property, okay, we come to an understanding that if you're going to use my business, that I can put you under contract.
Hmm.
Okay. And then we get a deposit. Okay. We'll fill out a contract. I get a deposit. At that point, we'll talk about what FHA is requiring you to do. And then we'll talk about your needs.
Hmm.
We'll do the needs, and then we'll do the wants.
Mm.
Okay. So, yeah, so that means that there are things that you need to do in order to qualify for FHA.
Hmm.
To
Hmm.
qualify for FHA approval, which called minimum standards. Okay. Those are the things that I'm going to say, okay, you need this. We can't have the chip paint. We can't have rodents in this property. We can't have holes in the wall. Those are all the things that HUD requires to be done. After
Right.
that, then I'll say, okay, give me an idea, what would you like to do to this property? How do we make this yours?
Hmm.
See, I like that because when you're doing a total rehab, you can make this property your property
Right.
versus buying a turnkey property where somebody else did the whole rehab. You can make this your property, how you want it. And that
Mm.
will be based on the floor plan of the property, because then you will have some limitations. But at that point, we'll talk about the cost factor, and then I'll say something like, okay, if it's a 3-story, I'll say, well, we're probably going to start off around 200,000 on the total rehab if you're not going to do underpinning. Okay,
Mm.
if the ceiling, I'm sorry, if the roof is not falling. So, and then they'll look at me and I'll say, well, 3 stories, the square footage will eat up the money. The,
Mm.
by the space being so large, the money would just get lost in the space, the square footage. So let's just say you're talking about a 1,500 to 1,700 square foot. Hopefully you can get a total rehab for 175, and I'll have that conversation with them. And then I'll say to them, get yourself 3 contractors and get some bids and call me. And then I'll discuss them with you over the phone so that we can get an understanding at what's too high and what's too low.
Mm.
See, because once I'm under contract, then my phone is open, my
Right.
email is open, so that I can discuss with you, to smooth out how we're going to get to the end game.
That's right.
That's very important because if you're not getting all the things that you want in this house while we're doing this,
Right. 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 Right.
okay? So, and then once we establish the relationship, then I'll say, what else do you want to do with this house? Okay, to make it an asset and not a liability. So
Right.
now
Right.
we're talking about whether or not you want to fix the basement to do yourself a little. office space, and and those type conversations. Then we talk about the cost factor for that.
Mm.
Okay. Excuse me. So once we get to that point, so what ends up happening is there's some level of paperwork that needs to be executed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that means that your contractor submits the bid. Once we get an understanding that you're comfortable with this particular contractor, it is my responsibility to put the estimate in a FHA format.
Right.
Okay, once I do that, okay, then we'll go over the paperwork again just to make sure you have a clear understanding of how this works. And then I will explain to you the pay schedule. Okay. In other words, I'll explain to you that, okay, your first thing your contract is going to do is he's going to do some demo. He's going to
Mm.
pull permits, then he's going to do demo. Okay. After that, we're going to do some framing. Okay. And he might even do some framing along with the demo. That will be his first draw. We're doing a draw process. If you're doing 100,000 or more, then we're going to do 5 re-inspections. What is a re-inspection? A re-inspection is when I come over and take a look at what the contractor did. I'll
Mm-hmm.
take photos, I'll fill out the proper documents, and then we will submit those documents after we execute them, okay, to the lending institution so the contractor can get paid.
Mm. So
Okay.
no pay prior to that. It's none of that where the contractors um, come and say, "Hey, it's Friday. Can you give me a little something to hold me over
Okay.
the weekend?"
So when the product was first launched, there was zero money down, zero,
Mm.
the real zero. Okay. Now there was a reason for that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that contractors like a third up front for
Mm-hmm.
startup money. Now, to FHA cannot tell you that this job's too big for you, but they can put obstacles in your way.
Mm.
That's one of the obstacles that they put in your way. Okay. There's no upfront money. So if you want to do this product, okay, you need to be seasoned enough to be able to pay your guys for at least 30 days till you get the first draw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you can't do that, then this project is probably too big for you. Now, within the last 3 years, the GCs, the general contractors, have complained so much that the lending institution has decided to give them 50% of the material costs.
Oh wow.
Okay. That's a new thing. Okay. Within the last 3 years. Not all lenders are doing that, but some are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? That means that they're giving them startup money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that really solve the problem? It does not, because some of the contractors are not good in money management. So they are
Right.
using the funds and other things. So why am I giving you 50% of the HVAC? Okay. When the HVAC is way down the road.
Right.
Why am I giving you 50% of that? You know what I'm saying? There's
Right.
other line items, that we're giving the money for, that we haven't even gotten to yet. But that was their decision. For me, I pretty much keep my client in the loop. I
Mm-hmm.
answer their questions for them when they have questions or don't understand. However, the 5 re-inspections is predicated on the work that's completed.
Mm.
Okay. Now, if when I come over for the first couple draws and I am uncomfortable with what I'm seeing, then I'm going to give you just what you earned. Okay.
Mm.
If I see, that you know what you're doing and I'm comfortable, then I'll give you a little bit of leeway. And that means that I might, give you just a little teeny bit more money to keep your project moving as a general contractor, because you can't fool me.
Right.
It's hard to fool me because of my experience. And I want to keep my client's project moving, and I like to keep them in the loop. So when
Right.
I see something that don't look right, I'm making a call.
Right. Right.
You
And
know,
that's
so
so
go
important
ahead.
there. That's so important right there. And I just don't want our audience to miss the opportunity. We got Mr. Henson's phone number that's coming across the screen as you see, his email, Tiffany Khan at msn.com. And then we have his phone number at 410-499-1192. He's giving you the knowledge, he's giving you the expertise of this project. Reach out to him so he can guide you through your projects, because I'm pretty sure we have a lot of folks out here that's considering this 203K, and some of the things, I can't find a good contractor. I'm scared to hire a contractor. They said contractors run off with my money. You know, how do I control this whole atmosphere of doing this? And you know, you have the resource right here. You have the ability to reach out, touch bases with Mr. Henson, and ask him, you know, you coming up on a project, give him a call, give him some notice, so maybe he can meet, y'all can set up a meeting to have those consultations done, so you can walk into your new home and don't have all that stress. Because Mr. Henson probably tell you, you know, he done seen it 100 times where the people and got the money and they got enough so they can run away. And when they run away, you trying to find the next person. But don't forget, the bank, you still making the payments to the bank while this process is going on. That payment process didn't stop of you paying the bank. So if you paying the bank and this stopped, we really stuck in a very open area right now. And Mr. Henson, just go over that open area. You know, the contractor ran off. You still got to make this money, this payment to the bank. I mean, how do we get past that?
So what happens in that type of situation? So let's just say that the contractor he got the initial payment, which is we'll use the 50% of the material.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he got that, and then you're having a hard time getting him back on the job. Okay, so now number one, okay, the bank would like for you to make a draw every 30 days. Okay, if you're not making a draw every 30 days, then they're going to reach out to you or to me and say, hey, you know, what's happened over at, you know, 123, you know, 2nd Avenue. Okay. And at that point, you know, we would hope that we have some type of explanation as to why we're not making a draw. Okay. Now, let's push forward to that the contractor's not answering the phone, he's not answering his email, and you've decided that that you want to move on from him. Okay. So there's some negatives in there and there's some positives in there. Number one, the positive is that you want to get to the end of this project, okay? And your numbers was working in the very beginning, but you just gave away some of the funds.
Wow.
Okay. That's okay. So now if the contractor did any work, we have to look at what he did. Okay. And before you can, let's just say you did fire him, he's out of there. Okay. He ain't coming back on your project. The lending institution is going to email you and me, and they're going to say, I need you, Mr. Henson, to do what's called an exit inspection. Okay. So that exit inspection means that I'm going to go on the property and I'm going to look at what the contractor did and decide whether or not he deserves any more money.
Right.
If he didn't do no work, that's self-explanatory. You know, if he did some work, then what's going to happen is I'm going to look at the amount of money that he received up front based on what he did. If they don't equal out, okay, then he could still be in the negative. Okay, because I've done material draws in $30,000. Okay,
right.
$30,000. If your project is $100,000, that's a third of your money.
Wow.
Okay, now let's just say that we're past that guy and you want to hire another contractor. I'm telling you right now, contractors do not like to clean up other contractors' mess.
Mm.
They don't really like that. They might not say it to your face, but I'm telling you right now, um, if there was any work done, 80% of them say, well, this is no good. We need to tear this out. Or this is no good. Um, we need to start over again. Um, and now you got to come up with the additional funding to pay him what he is bidding. Okay. Now, there is a 10% or 15% contingency added on to your construction number.
Okay.
So, with that being said, so there's monies available, but that money is allocated towards what we call unforeseen. Okay. If
Mm.
we are doing a total rehab, okay, then that money could linger around a while because if we're doing a total, everything's going to be out of there.
Right.
If we're doing a partial, then there's some probabilities that we're going to see some things that we just need to fix because we can't see it behind the wall, behind the ceiling, things of that nature. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some lenders will allow you to use some of your contingency, and some of them will say to you, nope, you're going to have to come out of your pocket for to reimburse, the monies that was paid to the first contractor. So
Right.
there's some positive and some negatives into that. So it's good for you to vet your guy, ask them questions, look at his work, ask him how busy he is. Um, all those questions are important. And if you're not sure, and if you're under contract with me, you can call. I'll help you to generate some questions to help you to be comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
to make him uncomfortable enough to let him know that you know just enough to let him know, no, 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 you're not running off with my money.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
yes. So that's important.
Yeah. Stop right there. Don't run. Because, you can't pass go and get this thing happening here. And with the contractors, it's so many, that's out here. Not saying that they're all bad, but some
No.
specialize in certain things. You have to
Hmm.
know the specialty of those people you're dealing with. And
Yes.
we deal with specialized folks for certain things. I know that electrician might be good to do that electricity, but don't always think that he can do your sheetrock too, just
Hmm.
because you can save some money here and to go through that whole step. So, Mr. Melvin, just going through the different types of work you're going to do on this 203K, I'm pretty sure we talked about vetting and making sure these contractors are equipped to do this work. How
Hmm.
many electricians should I interview? How many sheetrock people should I interview, or how do I evaluate them on another level?
So that circles back to earlier when I said you hire the GC and you hold him accountable. Your
Hmm.
GC is the top guy. He should be bringing quality people to your project. Okay.
Hmm.
If he's bringing quality people to your project, okay, you don't have to worry about that because that's why you're paying him.
Right.
Okay. You should not be looking for mechanical guys to hire because that's really his job.
Hmm.
Okay. I never recommend a person, to find an electrician, find an HVAC, find a plumber, okay, and then bring them on your job site. You
Hmm.
hire a GC, he should have a team. Okay. All the mechanical guys and finishers should be under his umbrella.
Right. Right.
Okay. If that, once you do that, okay, if let's just say the plumber is not plumbing, okay, then you go back to your GC and say, okay, this is unacceptable. We need you to fix this.
Mm.
You shouldn't go back to the plumber. Okay. You should go to the GC. That way, okay, he is held accountable for the people under his umbrella.
Mm.
Okay. Right. So, and just to touch on what you said about, like the electrician guy that's doing the drywall, there's plenty of guys out there that's multi-talented. Okay. Okay. But then, are you the GC?
Right.
If you're not the GC, we can't use you.
Mm.
Okay. We need that GC guy that's going to be responsible for your project. That way, when something goes wrong, we got insurance, we got license, we got bonds, we got everything we need in order to make my client whole.
Right. Right.
Okay, that's very, very important. And I always tell people at the home buying workshops, it's not a good idea to hire the guy that live up the street for $20 and a pint of wine, because that's the kind of work you're going to get.
Uh-huh.
We all have them. We all have them. We got the guy to live up the street. He can do anything. He can put your brakes on. He can do your electric. He can do your roof. We know those guys. We know those guys. You know,
Jackson Trays.
don't we know those guys? We know them
Yeah, we
guys.
do. We do. We do. We do. And it's
He
a
can
lot of
do it
them
all. It is. He can do it all. But when something goes wrong, the law gets involved, and then now everything becomes legal.
Right.
You're in trouble
Right.
because
And,
he don't have no license, he don't have no insurance, he don't have anything.
mm, and that's something right there. You said something I was just thinking about insurance. I mean, the GC would have to have a minimum amount of insurance when you do these projects. I take it, Mr. Melvin, and me being a consumer and hiring yourself as a GC consultant for my job. I mean, what kind of insurance am I looking at? I'm gonna say, Mr. Melvin, how much insurance do you have? How do I know if that's enough?
Well, the lending institution, when they do the vetting, they're going to ask the GC to send in their insurance policy, the declaration page. So they're already going to know exactly whether they have $1 million in insurance. Um, and then they look at, that page and make sure that you have all the credentials that they require. That's
Mm,
how that works. So that takes the guessing out of this for the client. You don't have to guess. The lending institution is not going to lend you this money, okay, without vetting the contractor.
right, 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 right. And
So
that's
they
so
have their own requirements, okay, and they're going to say, no, 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 no. We need you to have this amount of insurance to do these projects.
mm,
Hmm.
mm. That's good to know because a lot of people they get stuck when they going back and they figuring out if I got to sue them, if these people got enough money to cover what they're doing, or did they just get that insurance policy? Did they just get that because they get in a business right here in a couple of weeks and everything?
Yes, it season workers are so important because you learn by doing things multiple
Hmm.
times. Um, and you're right. You can tell if they just got the insurance yesterday. Okay, then there's some other questions that you need to ask them. Where did
Mm,
you work? Where did you work before you started your own business?
hmm.
Okay, do you have any references from the people that you worked for before you started your own business? You know,
Hmm.
COVID opened up a lot of people's eyes, and a lot of people want to start their own business, to do a lot of other things, which is good. Okay, but you always want to stay legal.
Mm,
Very important, and there's always a procedure for you to stay legal.
hmm. Hmm. And
So yeah.
that's so important. Like Miss Laurie said, welcome, Miss Laurie. She said, check the Better Business Bureau. Make sure you check those sites that makes them liable
Hmm.
for that, and do reviews. Do reviews of that contractor. Look online to see what they have. So when I'm coming to Mr. Melvin, I have my contact there. I want to be able to say, Mr. Melvin, this who I found out that does that. Can you give me some reference if he would be a good part of the team that works under us and stuff for it? But we got to have that information. We have to have it all lined up. And coming from the lending side of it, you want to put this in place because as a lender, I see who you wanted to hire. I'm hiring who you tell me that has the license and doing this work. I'm putting them right there at what's going on, for it. So you remember that we want our friends to help out, but sometimes everything ain't for everybody.
That's
You
right.
know, for it and stuff. And when it ain't for everybody, you got to make sure that it's making sense.
Yeah,
And that,
not a lot of people do reviews now.
right,
Not a lot of people. Some people follow up, some people don't. I know plenty of guys that do outstanding work, but their client base, don't do reviews on them. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. So when you check on somebody at the Better Business Bureau, so if you don't see them there, does that mean that they clean?
wow.
I don't
Let me
know. You know what I'm saying?
I
Do you do
say
you
that.
only get reported to the Better Business Bureau when you do something bad?
Right, right. Yeah, that's right. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. That's just for it and stuff. And a lot of people's illegal out here. So just because they're not there, don't mean that they're reputable
That's right.
and stuff for it. You have to bring some people that can really vouch for them, that have some strong history of doing some work with them to
That's so
understanding this whole process of this 203. And man, this is a great conversation. I know it's going to go on forever, and it's so much that we have to explain to our consumers, Mr. Melvin, that they don't know. I know in Delaware we have a new program that came out for 203Ks where they're going to give you some low down payment assistance through the Delaware State Housing Authority and everything. And we have to look at those programs and just don't look at, hey, it's a shortage of houses out here. I need to do something. Make sure when we are applying for those programs, we have everything in line because the process starts happening and then you're going to start looking for the folks to come in to try to assist you. You get pre-approved, the pre-approval start going through and then we almost are close. Oh man, I gotta find somebody. Oh man, I see Mr. Melvin. Is he available tomorrow to come out here? Provide the time to do the necessary work prior to getting to that. Provide the time to make sure that we're able to see what these
hmm
people are able for. Call Mr. Melvin. Set up an appointment, 410-499-1192. Send him an email, tiffanycon@msn.com. Ask these questions if you're preparing about it, if you're thinking about it, if it just came to mind and you're wondering about it. Hey, get somebody that's able to assist you and is knowledgeable about this, that you can hold accountable, that you can go and say, hey, Mr. Melvin Henson was my guy. This is his number. This is his contractor. Here's his license. He provided me with this whole packet of information. And let's look at it. Let's evaluate it because it's so important not to lose in this game. We can recover from a lot of stuff, but when you're trying to pay for a home that you're going to live in, is going to be a primary residence, you have to have these things in place. You have to have the people that's ready to stand forth and do the things that's necessary to keep this thing going. Because if you don't have that, then we run into a big problem here. We run into the problem of being able to fulfill the commitment of purchasing a home. and being in a contract with the bank as well as the contractor now, to where we're liable to both of them.
That's
We're
right.
liable to make sure that these people getting paid and the services they sign up for. Because you can tell them, Mr. Melvin, if you sign a contract with somebody and they done messed up or call somebody in a little before you to do a little something because they thinking they save a little money, I mean,
Mhm.
who's the liability on there?
Whew. That happens a lot. That happens a lot. Clients always. Um, Here's a couple things that I run into a lot as of late. Number one, they go on Pinterest and they look at these projects, and they call or text me, "Hey, Mr. Henson, can I get this? Can I get this bathroom right here?" And I'd be like, "No, ma'am." Okay, because the photo of the bathroom that she sends me, it's a $40,000 bathroom. Okay.
Mm,
Her whole project is only $75,000. How you how you gonna spend over half of the money on just the bathroom alone? The other thing is that they want all these extra things that cost way more than their pocketbook can carry. Oh well, I want 3/4 inch thick hardwood flooring. Well, that's a little pricey. That's going to cost about $12,000 based on the square footage of your house. And that's going to knock you outside of your affordability. So, you know, I give the hard truth.
mm-hmm,
Um, the truth of the matter is that you have to help people to stay within their means.
mm-hmm,
Otherwise, their wants will be, you know, far beyond their imagination and their pocketbook. Um, but I help them with that. And I get people all the time, the basement's not tall enough. And they say, well, we want to dig down. I say that's called underpending. And
mm,
it's going to be quite pricey. Okay, that could easily be $20,000, of your $80,000. You only have 80,000. That's going to be about 20,000. Um, so we're going to have to shave off some of the other wants that you have in order to get the underpinning, and then you're going to have to pay for the engineer to have to come over to give us the proper instructions to do the underpinning.
mm,
So once again, we have to pay attention to our affordability. We have
mm-hmm.
to pay attention to who we hire. We have to pay attention to the process. You never want to leave your project to the contractor. Never say, well, you can do whatever you think is best. No, no, no. You want to visit your project on a regular basis. You want to have that conversation. You want to be in the loop. Okay, that's very important. Be in the loop.
Mm-hmm. And we got some valuable comments here. Miss Laurie is talking about reporting these people to the Business Bureau, making sure that we get um, rightful service rather than just not looking at them and saying, "Oh man, I'm taking a loss." See if they
Mm,
registered. And go from there. So because we have to put a stop to this. We can't let the reputation of the good hinder the bad and hinder the good, for it. And people have to just be knowledgeable about this stuff, about what's going on out here in this market. And as we know, 203Ks, you said, been around for forever, but they're coming out like, man, they're the best thing happening now. They're the latest and greatest right
it
now
is. It is.
because the housing market, you can't afford that house that you say it should be 200,000. That's now 350 for. But if you get that 203K, you might be able to shave some of that because you're doing these repairs to make it livable, and you're still getting protections for it through the bank and
Right.
money that can help them out that they didn't really have to do these repairs out of pocket, which
Hmm.
is so amazing. And another story, they believe that 203Ks is like, yo, man, it's like I got a brand new house. Please understand that if you're starting to redo everything, you have more than a 203K. You know, a 203K fits a parameter of certain things that's going to be able to be done so we can get the house up to par. Just because you know your cabinets is not the newest brand and stuff like that, 203K fix the other items in the home. And Mr. Melvin, you can give them a quick breakdown before we start to head out about some of the things on that 203K that might be considered when you're doing the repairs.
Well, actually, you can do everything in your house, but what you can't do is you can't do a hot tub in the yard. Okay, you can't do a standalone deck, but you
Right.
can do a deck attached to the property. Okay, but you can't do a standalone. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can do if the property have an in-law house. Okay, we can work on the in-law house because it's grandfathered in. I've done a few of them down in DC area where they have in-law houses, and the lending institution was not up to snuff with the procedure, but I had to help them out a little bit and let them know, no, 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 this has been grandfathered in, and they can get this done. Okay. Um, so let me see, what else can't you get? You can't get a swimming pool, no pools. Okay. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have a pool already, okay, you can get it worked on,
Oh,
providing it's inside of your affordability. Now, some lenders push back, okay, especially if it's attached to the property, because anything that's attached to the property is called real property. Okay,
right.
if it's detached from the property, they're going to push back. Some
Mm.
of them will push back on the garage. So, well, wait a minute, the garage is part of the real estate. Okay, we can include that into the project. Some lenders, um they push back. Okay, but you can get brand new kitchens, brand new bathrooms. You can get all new drywall, all new electrical, HVAC, plumbing, new roof. You can get all of those things in your 203K. The 203K is a product that if you would like to have money to send your kids to college at the end of that project, there's a strong possibility you're going to have some funds to send your kids to college.
Because that equity you're going to build in there.
That equity that you're going to have at the end of the project, okay, is the money that you can use to do whatever you like.
Right, right, right. Tell me, and Miss Tig says something that just popped to mind. What if we got an HOA in that area? Do we have to get permission for it? How will that work?
Okay, so the problematic HOAs, okay, it's always a good idea, to have the meeting, with those folks, because they're probably going to tell you what color you can paint your door.
Mm,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, that's fact. That's fact. Um they do have guidelines. For example, if you are in a historic district, okay, you know that if you're going to replace the windows and they're wood windows, you got to go back with wood windows. You can't do vinyl, okay,
right.
unless you get a waiver from the municipalities, okay. But
Mm,
the HOA can push back. They can say, no, you're depreciating our community. We will not allow you to do that. But my recommendation is go to the meeting, let them know, because some of those things are going to need approval.
mm,
And it's some things as simple as if you decide that you don't want those hedges in front of your yard because they're too big and out of control, you want some smaller ones, you're probably going to have to get permission
mm-hmm. From
to
that
pull up hedges.
hedges and figure out what's going on there and everything. And
Now,
Mr.
to
Melvin,
me, I have a problem with that. I just have a problem with that, dude. This is my house, but you know.
Mr. Melvin, I want to thank you so much. We got to bring you back because we got some more stuff that we need to address with this 203K and give them the opportunity for it, man. We appreciate all the folks that came out and listened, Miss Lori, and everybody else out there. We just in need of the knowledge so we can make informed decisions out here. So we can go ahead and try to make sure that we're in compliance to what's needed by the bank. I'm the
Yeah.
lender. I'm creative financing. I want to make it work, but I want to let them know that we got to have these guidelines in place. We want to lend the money. We want to go forth. We want to educate people on how to get it done without running into a lot of loopholes and finding the best resources to get it done. For it, thanks again, Mr. Melvin. If you got some last words for us, that'll be great. For
Okay, so for all of my clients, I do free consultation in the very beginning. So what does that mean? That means that I have props, and those props are in booklet where the actual paperwork that you're going to be filling out, which are the legal documents. And then we have an opportunity to go over each document so you can ask questions.
mm,
For me, it's easier for me to teach you and then lead you out of the dark
mhm,
and help you to understand where the end game is and how we're going to get there than to let you go through this entire project and don't know anything about it. To me,
mm,
the education piece is very important. If by chance you're thinking about going that way, you have the proper information, you have a good team here, make the calls, make the conversation, let's make it happen.
that's awesome. Folks, we thank y'all for attending. We know y'all want to reach back out to Mr. Melvin here and stuff. We're going to bring him back because we're going to have a part two for this. And let you know that, hey, it's some things that we have to understand in this, but this creative financing with JB, man, good to see y'all. As I say always, stay informed, stay educated, and it'll work out for the best. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.